Good morning, viewer. Welcome to our Perspective USA. Here's the breaking news. Professor Marcus Niederberger from the Laboratory for Multifunctional Materials at ETH Zurich has been working with these special materials for some time. His lab specializes in aerosols composed of crystalline semiconductor nanoparticles. We are the only group in the world that can produce this kind of aerosol at such high quality, he says. One use of aerosols based on nanoparticles is as photocatalysts. These are employed whenever a chemical reaction needs to be enabled or accelerated with the aid of sunlight. One example being the production of hydrogen. The material of choice for photocatalyst is titanium dioxide, that is called TiO2, a semiconductor. But TiO2 has a major disadvantage. It can absorb only the UV portion of sunlight, just about 5% of the spectrum. If photocatalyst is to be efficient and industrially useful, the catalyst must be able to utilize a broader range of wavelength. This is why Niederberger's doctoral student Jugu Cajon has been looking for a new way to optimize an aerosol made of TiO2 nanoparticles. And she had a brilliant idea. If the TiO2 nanoparticles aerosol is doped, to use the technical term, with nitrogen, such that individual oxygen atoms in the material are replaced by nitrogen atoms, the aerosol can then absorb further visible portions of the spectrum. The doping process leaves the aerosol's porous structure intact. The study on this method was recently published in the journal Applied Materials and Interference. Count first produced the aerosol using TiO2 nanoparticles and small amounts of the noble metal palladium, which plays a key role in the photocatalytic production of hydrogen. She then placed the aerosol in a reactor and infused it with ammonia gas. This caused individual nitrogen atoms to embed themselves in the crystal structure of the TiO2 nanoparticles. To test whether an aerosol modified in this way actually increases the efficiency of a desired chemical reaction. In this case, the production of hydrogen from methanol and water, developed a special reactor into which she directly placed the aerosol monolith. She then introduced a vapor of water and methanol to the aerosol in the reactor before irradiating it with two LED lights. The gaseous mixtures diffuses through the aerosol porous, where it is converted into the desired hydrogen on the surface of the TiO2 and palladium nanoparticles. Can't stop the experiment after 5 days, but up to that point, the reaction was stable and proceeded continuously in the test system. The process would probably have been stable for longer. Niederberger says, especially with regards to individual applications, it is important for it to be stable for as long as possible. The researchers were satisfied with the reaction's result as well, adding the noble metal palladium significantly increased the conversion efficiency. Using aerosols with palladium produce up to 70 times more hydrogen than using those without. This experience served the researchers primarily as a feasibility study, as a new class of photocatalyzed aerosols offer an exceptional three-dimensional structure and offer potential for many other interesting gas phase reactions in addition to hydrogen production. Compared to the electrolytes commonly used today, photocatalysts have the advantage that they could be used to produce hydrogen using only light rather than electricity. Whether the aerosol developed by Niederberger's group will ever be used on a large scale is still uncertain. For example, there is still a question of how to accelerate the gas flow through the aerosol. At the moment, the extremely small pores hinder the gas flow too much. To operate such a system on an industrial scale, we first have to increase the gas flow and also improve the irradiation of the aerosols. Niederberger says he and his group are already working on these issues. Aerosols are exceptional materials. They are extremely light and porous and boast a huge surface area. 1 gram of material can have a surface area of up to 1200 square meters. Due to their transparency, aerosols have the appearances of frozen smoke. They are excellent thermal insulators and so are used in aerospace application and increasingly in the thermal insulation of buildings as well. However, their manufacture still requires a huge amount of energy, so the materials are expensive. The first aerosol was produced from silica by the chemist Samuel Kistler in 1931. BNS report, Fossack TV USA.